Hey everyone, it's Steve. Hey, I just wanted to share some of my experiences that I've had with my new Insta360 Go camera that I've had for a few months now. I've used it on a couple of the ATV rides. There's definitely some really good things about this camera, and I ran into a couple of other issues that have been not so great, so I thought I'd share those with you. First of all, this isn't going to be a total review or a how-to on this camera. There's plenty of other videos out there. Just wanted to share just some of my personal experiences with this. So for those of you that aren't familiar with this camera, this is Insta360's latest action camera. It's very small. It's called the Go 2. It comes in a 32 gig size now and also a 64 gig size. This one happens to be the 64 gig size. The coolest thing about this thing is truly, the size. This holder here is kind of like the way the AirPods work for the Apple. This is also a charging case. This is cool because you can use this as a remote control. This will charge the camera up multiple times. There's actually 2 feet that come out of the bottom of this thing if you want to use it as a tripod. There's also a threaded mount here, so you can use your own tripod with this thing. It's really pretty cool. So the camera is held in, it's magnetic. There's a magnet in the back, and the charging little pinpoints are here to charge the camera up. And it sits in the camera, and you can use this camera just on its own. That's how I've been using it. There is a magnetic pendant that comes with it that actually goes around your neck and under your shirt. So you could just stick this on the front of your shirt and film that way. The microphone up here is on the top, and we'll talk a little bit more about some of the issues that I've had with this. But what's nice is they do have replaceable camera lens protectors. So in case you end up dropping it or something happens, you get a scratch on it, you can just unscrew the lens protective cover and replace it with another one. So one of the coolest clips or mounting brackets that comes with the camera is this particular one. This one is made to slide on the brim of like a baseball cap. And then what you end up doing is when this thing is sitting on your cap, there's a magnet in there and it's on your cap, and you can adjust this up and down. It's a really, really nice way of filming. I've used this a couple of times, actually on vacation when you're doing walking and stuff, and it works really well. There's a couple other ones. These particular ones, there's a extra kit that's available with the mounting things. I'll leave a link below, but these use the standard GoPro mount. So like my helmet that I have for my ATV has got a GoPro mount sitting on the top of it, and I can use any of these with that mount, which is cool. So these all have a microphone cutout. This one is also magnetic. This one is pretty cool because you don't have to really worry about if you're on a bumpy ride or something like that. When you clamp it in, this will actually secure the Go 2 camera in there. There's no way that this thing can fall out, whereas this one's magnetic. It's pretty strong, but it won't. There's still always the chance that it may come out. And then the last one, this one is actually cool. This is a standalone one that I bought on the side. This one, you end up dropping the camera in. It's got a clip to secure it. And what's neat about this one is this one actually has a charging port on it. So what you could do is if you had this thing outside at night and you're doing, let's say, a time lapse or a star lapse, catching, anything like that, or even a time lapse during the day, what you can do is you can either plug in an adapter with a battery pack when it's sitting on the tripod and keep this thing going, because I think the battery life on this thing is maybe about a half hour or so before you have to put it back into the case to charge it. So this is kind of a cool way to keep this thing going. If you want to do a time lapse, for an entire day, you can end up doing that. So one of the drawbacks to this camera, and then I found out, and a lot of other people also have the same issue, is the camera does get very hot when you're using it. Over the summer months, what'll happen is the camera will heat up, and maybe after about 7 or 8 minutes, the camera will actually shut off. So if you're trying to film a longer segment, I remember I did like a longer ride or whatever, and it turned off on me, and it was kind of disappointing when I got back and I found out it wasn't recording anymore. So that's one issue. Some of the winter rides, I haven't had the issue. I've gotten past the 7-minute mark, and it's been pretty good. So the other issue that I've been having, my only other complaint is, and I'll show at the end of this video, I'll put a quick clip out from my last ride, is the wind noise is just kind of unbearable when you're listening back to these. The sound quality is not bad. If you're sitting still and it's not a windy day and you're talking, it's great. But the mic's up here, and I've looked at some of the other reviews, and there's been a lot of complaints about the noise. So I've been using this magnet mount one. What's interesting is this one does not have a hole cut out. So I'm wondering if the wind noise is worse because the wind is kind of coming in through this crack and then maybe kind of, making all the noise. What I think I'm gonna do is, on a subsequent ride, I'm gonna try one of the other mounts that actually has the cutout for the mic, and we'll see if it's any better. So the one cool thing, a couple of cool things about this thing though, is the image stabilization on this thing is phenomenal. What you can do is you can have it, in your visor clip sideways, and the horizon will always be straight. It'll straighten out the horizon for you. And actually, if you were to use a clip where you've got it kind of like in the portrait mode, it'll still keep the horizon straight for you. And then what's cool is in the Insta360 app, and I'll show you shortly, you can actually change the, if you want to do a 16:9, where it comes out as a landscape picture, or a 9:16, where it's more like a portrait, like what people do for TikTok, etc. And what's really cool is you can change that angle in post within the app. You don't have to select which way you're filming ahead of time. And this is actually what ended up happening. So when I used this mount on my last ride, the camera was sitting in here in landscape mode, sitting on top of my helmet. And what had happened was I must have had the camera angled down too far, and I didn't get any of the video of the road. It was basically not really the gas tank on the ATV, because it's not in the middle anymore, but my legs, the speedometer, the handlebars, and that's it. And you really saw nothing from the ride. So what I ended up doing was I went into the app, and when this thing records, I think it's called ProRes, it does the stabilization, and it actually records a perfectly square picture. So what you can do is, when you're in the app, you can select if you want to see the video, portrait or landscape. And what I found out is when I switched it to portrait mode, I actually you could see the top of the road and everything else that was cut out when I was looking at the video that was in landscape mode, if that makes any sense. So that's just been a great feature, and like I said, the image stabilization in this thing is just phenomenal. So let's go into the app, and I'll show you how I ended up changing it so that we could see the video on the road in front of me when I thought I had actually ruined the video. So thanks. Okay, as I had mentioned before, in the Insta360 app, you can go ahead and you can reframe your video. The default in mine is in the 16:9 format, which is landscape. And if you take a look here, if I click on the one video that I have, the video starts, and you can see I've got the camera just pointed down, too far down. You can see my helmet, and you're basically getting the front of the ATV, but you're not really seeing much of the road in front of me. So what you can do is, if you pause the video, you've got your selection here. Because I had filmed it in linear, you've got the choice. I can change it to 9:16. And as you can see now, I can see you've got a much higher field of view in the portrait position, and we can see the road in front of us. And as I had mentioned, the Insta360, the Go 2, actually films in a square format, so you can get the entire square picture that's there. So there's a 1:1, There is a 16:9, which is my default, and then there's the 9:16. And then when you go ahead and play, now I'm still getting the, the view of the helmet, but you definitely can see, down the road and get more of a better view in front of you. So that's the one nice thing about the camera. I love this software. You can kind of, edit it in post, which is great. And what we'll do is now, the only other disappointment is I'll go ahead and I'll show you. I'll put the video out so you can actually hear what the sound sounds like. Like I said, the wind noise is kind of obnoxious. So anyways, thanks again for watching, guys. We'll catch you on the next one.